Alright guys, how's everyone today? Hope everyone's doing well. Today we'll be doing this KingsMan head exploding scene. And this is what it looks like. If you look in the description, there'll be a download pack for 3 parts. There'll be 3 parts of the explosion. There'll be the bottom part, the fireworks, and then the top part. You'll need those for this tutorial. But what you need to film is a scene of your actor doing whatever they are or wherever you want them to explode their head, and just kind of act it out and have the person like falling. You can do this in slow motion. I just filmed it at 24 and then kind of pretend to do it in slow motion because why not? So you can see, yeah. What you'll also need is a clean plate, so a frame where there's nothing on. I'm over here obviously, but this is the only area we need, so it works perfect. And then what I did was I turned my camera 90 degrees on the tripod so it's standing upright, and had a shot of me throwing the hat and hitting the ground. I did this so that I can capture more of the height for the hat to go up and down, and we're going to composite that afterwards to make it look a little bit more realistic when we do the scene. And all you need to do once you bring it in the comp is press R, go to rotation, then type in 90, and then it'll be the same as how it should be. Alright, so what you want to do first is you want to find the area of where you want the head to explode, so you can see that my acting skills, I close the eyes and pretend I'm actually exploding. So right around here, press Shift 1 to put a little marker. Go to the clean plate, press Alt square bracket to cut it down. And then what I like to do is duplicate the footage and press Alt square bracket as well. So now nothing happened, but what we can do is you go to click the main footage that you just cut, go to animation, and drag them over. Okay, yes. So in here, you can press Z to zoom in, and X to grab the little hand and move it around. So you want to press the X spline, do a rough mask around the actor's head here. That's a little too deep. Doesn't have to be exact, obviously, because we're not doing that. 90% perspective is checked, and drag forwards. See some areas there. What we're doing with this data is instead of pasting it to the main footage that we're cutting out here, we're going to paste it to the clean plate, making it so wherever this mask is where the clean plate is, and since we're rotoing out his head should be gone. Alright, now make sure that the mask just kind of covers everything. This in a bit more. Alright, and then export shape data, copy the clipboard, go back to After Effects, get the clean plate layer, go to the beginning of the timeline, and Control V. And you won't see anything now because we have it visible. Once you turn it on, you can see that the head has now been masked out. Perfect. What you can also do is create a null object, Alt square bracket to trim it, back to Mocha, export tracking data, and copy the clipboard as well. And this one you have to do it at the beginning of the null, not the beginning of the timeline. And just press Control V. For this is you'll have a null following the head, so if you want to add something and track it to the head, you have that possibility. Alright, and then you can delete the one you trimmed because it was just for reference for thing there. I'm gonna rename this to main footage. Alright, so right now all we have is the head comes off and that's everything. Alright, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do some roto, which is never exciting, but what you have to do is you gotta go to this clip, press G to bring up your mask tool, put it in full quality so you have more precise, and you just kind of want to mask around the hat, just like that. A little secret is I like to press M once, go to add, and then press none, so you can just kind of see what you're masking first. And make sure you press mask path. And what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to go through each frame and cut it out. But the easiest way I found is if you do 2 frames, press V to switch it to a little cursor thing here, and then move it kind of to where it was, and adjust the mask just like that. Oops. And then if you go back a frame, it's kind of in the same area and you just have to fix it a little bit more. Instead of going frame, moving everything, and then going frame again. But anyways, I'm not going to do this again for this tutorial, so I'm going to go back to my other footage, and I'll be back in a second. So you can see that the hat just kind of jumps up and then flops down and hits the ground there. Just like that. So what I'm then going to do is unsole the layer, go back to a little bit less quality. Go to the beginning of the key where you put the marker, move this along to where you want it. And we're just going to have to position it kind of where the hat was. So a little thing you can do is just move the keyframe forward, put the hat where it is. It's not that big of a deal. And then move to the next frame, and then you have the hat. And then move the timeline back over 1 frame. So now what we have is the hat flipping over. You can see that it kind of falls in front, which I'm not too key on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press P for position, add a keyframe, and then find when it hits the ground. So it hits the ground right there. So then I'm just going to move, whoops, position to where I like. And now it creates like a little off the head and goes to kind of where you want it to. Just like that. You can also see that my footage doesn't reach all the end because I picked up the hat. So a little workaround for that is if you go to the last frame, press Control D, right click, time, freeze frame. Then you can extend this all the way to the end and then trim this to where you would like it. So now it goes from this frame to the animated one to a freeze frame on the ground. Perfect. Little thing you can do too to make it look a little bit more real is press new, solid. Let's call this hat, shadow. Bring up that, bring up block, and then turn it off. Find where it's the ground. So just right there. Go G. Press the little pen tool. Just create a little mask. And of course, when it's up in the air, it should be a little bit wider. Make sure you press mask path, because if you don't, you'll be spending a lot of time moving things and doesn't keep track of it. Alright, let's unsolo that. Press F, feather it a bit. And then you want to put it under the hat of things. Press T and lower the opacity so it's what you also can do is press U to see what the keyframe is. And then go a couple frames before by pressing page up and page down. And trim it. So press Alt, square bracket as well. And then, yeah. So I'm also going to press Shift T to open up the opacity. This keyframe, move that to that one, and press 0. So now the shadow will get a little bit there. It's not very noticeable, but without it, it kind of looks weird. So, alright, so there's the hat, and what you can do is recompose all this stuff. So that's the hat. Roto. Alright, perfect. So now what we have now is this head disappearing and the hat flies off. It's ground. Good stuff. Control C or Control S to save, just in case. Alright, so here's the bottom explosion. So what I've created is just a little animation here of the smoke going from blue to purple to red. And this is going to be the one that's actually around the head. And there'll be another part to where it goes up. Alright, excellent. So what you want to do is you want to get this, drag it to the beginning. Just kind of position it where you'd like. Scale it down. Don't make it too big to cover a whole lot of the body. Just make it so it's covering the head and shoulders, and it's a nice kind of happy medium. So I think let's go 34 or something. So you can see the smoke goes there. Burst it off. Perfect. What we're gonna do is drop fireworks. The fireworks are gonna go below it. You can see here that the fireworks are just white and they slowly turn gray over time. So what you can do is drop PC color vibrance. Oh, by the way, if you haven't realized, I've been using After Video Copilot's VFX console, and all you have to do is press Control Space, and you can type in the effect you like, and it comes up. It speeds up your workflow a lot, so I would personally recommend it. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is go to a blue color for the beginning. And I cut off a few keyframes because and then bring this to that. What you can do is you can keyframe the color, so if you press on the little stopwatch there and then go near the end. Oh, you can also see there's a block things. To fix that, all you have to do is go to blending modes and go to screen. Scale this one down as well, so it's not too big. doesn't look too bad. So I'm gonna add some glow. And for this glow, it's gonna be more of just, not so much of a radius, but more of a natural like pop. And then I'm gonna add another glow, so Control C, Control V, or press the layer and then Control. I guess that doesn't work. So I'm just gonna type in glow again. And for this one, I'm just gonna bump up the radius a lot more. So it creates like a more, look here. So I guess I didn't keyframe the color correctly, so I'm gonna go back to color, bring it to purple, and change it there. So now you can see, I move this a bit, that over time we'll go from blue to purple. Alright. I'm actually going to change the radius of the glow a bit more. Both of them. Alright. Also make this look a little better and add glow to the bottom explosion as well. Obviously that's way too much. Let's put this to 0.8. Radius. Check out. Okay. This though is we're gonna keyframe it. So in the beginning it's very, very bright. So what you want to do is go to press keyframes on all three of them except the radius, and then bring this up so it's got a little white glow to it. Press page down 3 or 4 times, and then bring that back down so that it's not as dramatic. Still a bit much. So if you preview it now, there'll be a flash of white, and then it comes out. Fireworks are moving a bit slower than I like. I'm gonna speed those up as well. Over time, I want the glow, the bottom explosion. Press U, go to near the end of the keyframes. Just bring the threshold all the way up to 100, and then bring the glow intensity to like 0.1. So slowly over time, it'll keep its color but not glow as much. I also just like to add a little quick tint, change it to 20% so it's not as saturated. Alright. So what we have now is just a little head explosion. Fireworks soon out. There's that. Alright, let's go back to project. Go to the top explosion. And the top one goes underneath both of them. So let's move this one up. See where it is. Perfect. Unsolo it. Kind of position it where you want. I wouldn't make this one too big either, because You don't want to exaggerate it a whole lot. I find it just kind of looks not as well made. Alright. Now you can see the top part's coming off and the hat's blowing off. Good stuff. What I'm gonna do for this one is add a glow. I'm gonna bring intensity down a bit. 0.5. Just fill out the radius. But I find for this one it's better to actually use A and B color, so I change it from original colors to A and B. Sawtooth A2B. Try to get a very contrasted pink. And then this one I try to get a purple in the beginning. Nice little purple. I don't see a whole lot right now, so you bring down the threshold. The color. Get it down all the way if you like. Fine for this one too. In the beginning, it'll be very saturated, glowy, and then near the end, it's almost too bright. So I find if you keyframe the intensity and the radius, or just the intensity, you don't need the radius. So when it gets near the end, you can bring this down to say 0.1. It just kind of eases it in a bit. So you can add tint as well. And 20%. Alright, what you can see now is just a little head exploding, going up, cloud, and the fireworks shooting out. This is still good, but the next part I'm going to be using a stock element from Video Copilot. It's a charge. So let's just type it in here. So it's just a spark blowing up, and then the sparks going out and popping. Fortunately, I can't put this in the download pack because you have to purchase it. But if you can find something, or if you have it, then it makes the effect just look a little bit better. So I'm gonna go back to KingsMan, drop the charge in, solo it so you can see it a little bit better, and I find there's always a few frames in the beginning that aren't really necessary. I think that'll work. I'm gonna change this to screen. Unsolo it. Kind of position it where you want. Scale it down. What you can do before you place it, which makes it a bit easier, is you can drop hue and saturation and go over to the hue, master hue, just kind of turn it. You don't want to do this too much because it does create some artifacts, but for this it'll work. So then I'm going to drop that back on. Go to the beginning, press it. And you get to see it just adds a little sparks and adds a little bit more of a white glow in the beginning. I think this is a little bit too small to go down this way. And it just makes the whole effect look a little bit more like a punch to it, I guess. Sparks. You can also see though at the end of this little charge thing here, the sparks start to bounce off of something. So what I did is I just create a quick mask on the bottom here. Feather the edges. And then when they start to pop around here, press T, keyframe, put it around there, just have them fade away. Right. So now this is with it on. Alright, you can see that the sparks just add that little bit of a little pop to it and make it just look a little bit cooler. I'm gonna change the glow on the fireworks a little bit. Change the radius of the second one. A bit more. Alright, so this is pretty much all you have to do for the actual thing. What I like to add afterwards is a little shockwave that shoots out. And that's quite simply just kind of press new, solid, create a white thing, do shockwave. You can turn it off because you don't need to see it. And then I just like to create a little ellipse. Create a circle. If you hold down shift, it'll always make a perfect circle. So just let go. And from here, click the shockwave again. Go to the beginning, press Alt square bracket, press M to open up the mask, or double click M to create two. Copy the first mask, and then press shockwave layer again. Press Ctrl V. It'll create another mask. On the second mask, what you want to do is click subtract, and then expansion. You want to bring it back down. What you can do is feather the edges a bit. And with this one here, you can feather the outside. So what you have now is a little circle like that. It also makes it a bit easier if you click the little tool beside the camera. You can click this middle part and put it in the middle. So now when you scale it, it'll scale from that point instead of from the bottom and making it go up. Press V to open up the thing. And what I like to do is I like to make this 3D layer, change the kind of perspective of it. Do that. Press R. You want to change it in the Y-axis here, so just gotta make it so it's plain like that. And then you want to press S, and we're gonna keyframe the thing. So press. I guess first we should probably position it. So turn off the explosion layer so you can see. Just put that there. Scale, go to 0. Press the keyframe. Go about 9 frames, 10 frames, whatever. And just scale it up. You can scale it all the way up, but I found that if you just kind of scale here, not all the way, and make it fade in, fade out, looks Alright. Alright, so now you have an animated thing. I'm gonna add turbulent displacement to add a little bit of randomness. So turn down the size. Not that much. Same amount. Just to make it look a little bit non-organic looking. Go thing. Press Alt, square bracket again. Right click, pre-compose, Shockwave, move all attributes. Bam. And then you can put this on the bottom. You don't need to see it. New adjustment layer. Bring the adjustment layer to it doesn't quite matter. I like to put it above the top explosion, but you won't really see a difference. Just trim this to the same size as the thing here. Alright, and then add a displacement map. Change it to the Shockwave. So if you change this to 50 so we can see it, it just creates like a little shockwave here. And to make it fade out, you can either turn the opacity of this layer or actually just go back into this pre-compose, go to T, go Shift T, keyframe, and then I like to do it one frame before it so that the animation doesn't stop moving and then the opacity cuts out. And in here you'll displacement, shockwave, and you'll see that it is faded out, or it starts to fade out on its own. So this is what it looks like. That's a bit too much for me, so I'm just going to change it to 2020. I like to change it to luminance as well, so it's picking up the right channel. Yeah. Still a bit too. You want to see it, but you don't. It's kind of like a minor thing that adds to it. Alright, so then let's add the explosion back on. Go to the beginning. And you can see it shoots out there with the first impact. Alright. And then what you also can do to, you can kind of see where the head would be, like you see the cutout right there. So if you really are worried about it, what you could do is get the bottom explosion, press Control D, find the spot and press T, time freeze frame. And I'm gonna turn these layers off. Adjustment layers, displace that. And head track. What you can do is now you can just see the glow kind of goes in and out, but this stays the same thing. You can get the whip here, hold shift. Or no, don't hold shift, just go over to the null and then drag. So now the thing will follow the position of the head. From here you just press G, mask out another little bit, feather in. So this is like, once you put all the layers on, it'll be so thick that you can't actually see what's underneath it. So it's kind of like a little wraparound thing. And what I like to do is just feather it a bit more so you don't get a whole lot. but now you're less likely to see anything because it's a lot thicker smoke there. Alright, and that pretty much wraps up the tutorial. What you can also do is duplicate the main layer and cut out in front here so the smoke kind of goes in between the body and the arm instead of just over on top. Do a bit of roto, but yeah, that's pretty much the effect. It's pretty cool in my opinion, actually. Thing you can also do if you really, but I wouldn't try it too much or don't push it too much, but if you go to say the bottom exposure here, turn off these layers here, you can add a hue and saturation. Just like the shock charge, you can change the colors. So if you want it to be a different color in the thing, in your video, you can change the colors and it'll look somewhat realistic, but don't change them too much or don't pop the contrast, because you will see some artifacts and it just won't look right. Anyways, that's all that. Thanks for watching. This is final effect we got here. And, hope to see some videos with this little effect thing. Alright, thank you. Have a good day.